What's up, sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of Pez's Picks. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by the man with the picks himself, Pez. We're now in that time of year where Pez, it's like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? It's where in the world is Pez's Picks? Pez, where the hell are you?
Jeff, as you know, Pez's Picks is global. We're here on the banks of Lake Champlain, trying to beat this heat wave, whatever you want to call it. It's troubling, Jeff. I mean, it's too hot. We need to turn the temperature down on the whole world, the climate. Everybody needs to calm down. Have a cup of coffee, maybe a little pop in there, whatever you need. We need to calm everybody down, start having fun again. The world's gone nuts. It's too hot.
Well, you were just skiing like 2 months ago. I don't want to hear you complaining. Like, you're fine. You'll be fine. I like the
we'll be
heat
fine.
better than the cold. Yeah, we'll be fine.
Well,
All right.
I mean, Lake Champlain, Jeff, it's still pretty cold. I mean, it's a teeth chatter when you jump in there, but a beautiful state, Vermont, and we have legalized gambling here now. Unbelievable, Jeff. It's the most democratic state in America with a Republican governor. I don't know how to explain this place. You can own a gun, you can do whatever you want in this state as long as you're nice to people. Nobody arrests you. It's a pretty awesome place. I don't own a gun, but I think all of them do, so I'm going to keep saying good things about Vermont. So lock it up on Vermont, Jeff. Love this town.
All right, let's get to the sports news. The NBA Finals are a wrap. We had a good NBA Finals at Pez's Picks, and yet I'm still seeing people hating on you in the comments of Instagram. You can find Pez on social media at Pez's Picks, P-E-Z-S-P-I-C-K-S. Man, I don't know what people want. You're giving them winners, and yet they still bitch and moan. What are your thoughts on the NBA Finals?
Jeff, the more we do this, I realize there's a lot of negativity on this social media and this internet thing, which is fine. As a gambler, we expect this. But it's either wins or losses. So if you want to bet on a winner, I mean, we're your guys. 4-1 NBA championships, 20-11 in the NBA playoffs, just under 66%. You're not going to get better than that. So if you want to bet parlays, you want to wrap up individual stats, this and that, your chances of winning decrease by 5 times. We give you wins and losses, and we don't fail to do that. And we love the chirping, Jeff. We love it. As a Steelers fan, as an Eagles fan, everybody chirps about us. We like it. You know, if they're not chirping, that means you're not tough and you're not winning. And we take pride in that. So the best NBA playoffs we had in a long time. Some troubling details out of this NBA season, though, and you know, I think the league needs to take a look at what's happening to the players. We had 7 just incredible Achilles tears from NBA players this year, 3 in the playoffs when you look at Lillard, Tatum, and then Halliburton. I mean, gruesome injuries that rarely anyone comes back to at full pace, especially being young guys that move up and down the court. I believe we're up to 108 possessions per game now, something we haven't seen since the early 1970s, back when Will Ferrell was making that basketball movie. I don't know what the league can do. I think it needs to take a step back and do what the NFL did when we had that chronic plague of ACLs and receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks. They changed the rules. Head injuries, we changed the rules, and it's a better product for it. I don't know what direction the NBA can go in. I think these playoffs are the direction we should have, even though we did see these injuries, but I don't think they were caused by the playoffs. If you're sprinting up and down the court, 108 possessions, then you're going to put wear and tear in your legs when you're playing 3 to 4 games a night. That over a 7-month period you're playing, 8-month period for some of these guys, it's just too much. So we're happy about our winning 20-11 on the playoffs. I dare anybody with these comments prove me wrong. Somebody did better, but I think the league needs to look at its product and look what we're doing to these players, because it's tragedy, Jeff. You don't come back from that Achilles.
Well, and I'll tell you this, you do some digging, at least in the postseason Achilles tendon ruptures that we saw. You mentioned Lillard, Halliburton, and Tatum. All 3 of those players were suffering from what they called calf tightness prior to their injury. And so this is a situation where if the powers that be in the NBA or any sport really that involves explosive movements, a lot of running, they need to be very wary of that. Because if they don't, then what could happen is, well, you have a ruptured Achilles and now you're at least out a year. And I think back to in the NFL, Christian McCaffrey last year had some of this calf stuff and they put him on the shelf and he didn't suffer that Achilles tear. And I'm not saying that any time a player has calf tightness or a strained calf or anything like that it's going to equate to that. But there were some precursors, and I get it. How are you going to tell Halliburton to not play in Game 7, even though he does have some discomfort in his lower leg? What would the fans think if Halliburton says, I can't play because my calf is just tightening up? Now, if you would have told them, look, if I play, I'm going to rupture this thing and I'm going to be out all of next season too, some fans might say, yeah, let's not do that. Some fans might say, you know what, screw it. It's game 7. Get your butt out there and try and gut out a win. I think that when it comes down to the training aspect, the Achilles is, like you said, it's the new ACL. They have to make sure that the way that they're training the human body is for these explosive movements. It does have to be adjusted on occasion. It's interesting. What's your takeaway on all those injuries, though, Pez?
Well, from a gambling perspective, we called this last week, Jeff. We didn't bet the Indiana Pacers game 6 when it looked like Halliburton might not play. We talked about how that type of injury to a superstar tends to help the team that loses a player for one game. And we saw that with Milwaukee. We saw that with Boston, even, who came back and won that next game without Tatum. But then kind of everything settled in the way they should. Injuries, you might exhale as the opposing team defending without having to defend that star. But in game 7, I don't know why the line didn't adjust. The line was 7, 6.5 at tip-off. Halliburton's worth at least 6 more points than that, right? I mean, they should have been given 11 or 12. I don't know why they didn't. A pretty easy victory. And, I think these type of things, these intangibles, they're not putting into the equation when they're setting these lines. Injuries, very impactful to the game and to the spread and to how opposing teams play. And even we saw it in the first half. Oklahoma City kind of exhaled a little bit when Halliburton went down and the Pacers looked like they were going to win that game, and then total blowout third and fourth quarter. I worry about the players, Jeff. I worry about, people would argue we're not as a physical an NBA league now, so that's better for the players. I tend to disagree. I think getting down in the trenches, a little bodying for rebounds, a little bit more physical defense will slow that game down. You're not going to have ACLs and Achilles tears from bumping each other's shoulders and maybe get a little more physical in the key. So at the end of the day, they got to do something, Jeff, because the league, the regular season was garbage. I don't know if we can even trust him playing it. Like you said, if I'm injured now, I got a calf pull, which I've done, Jeff. I hurt my Achilles chasing my wife through the rain, running into a car one day. I felt like a moron, but that thing hurt 2 years. I'm not some NBA player. I don't think my vertical ever came back. So at the end of the day, they got to address something. The league has to fix that regular season and fix this problem with players going down. It's just something that needs to be done. And on top of that, we're proud of it. 2011, Jeff, 65% NBA playoffs. We were at 72%, 8-2 in NFL playoffs. We're a postseason picking regime, Jeff, and we stand by that. Baseball, we're going to get to that, and I think we got some good things coming with that too.
Well, real quick before we leave basketball, Game 7, the spread that you had posted was, I believe, OKC -7, correct?
Correct.
If Halliburton doesn't go down, do you think it's a lot closer?
So I was monitoring the lines, as I'm watching that game. That line's still stuck at 7, 7.5, even through halftime, and. I don't know what they're doing at this point, Jeff. It used to be a computer system where we play out these games, but then you'd have a group of, good fellas, a group of boys that would sit around and kind of adjust this line. Like I was talking about, you would never get John Rahm for plus 4,000 on some major tournament with your bookie down the street working at, Johnny Bears in South Philly. You might get plus 100. You're not getting plus 4,000. So I don't think they care as much. I don't think they scrutinize it as much. Had Halliburton continued playing, I think the Indiana might have pulled that game out. And, if he could have played at 100%, and I don't know what he would have ended up being third and fourth quarter. That's when the legs tighten up. But without a doubt, Halliburton, an assassin, top 5, offensive weapon in the league. I put him and Brunson as the top, adrenaline end of the game guys. And, Gilgeous-Alexander, amazing player. I mean, this guy, he looks like a little Michael Jordan out there, to be honest with you. His pace of play, control of the game, and I'm excited for that team. But I don't know where we're going. Boston blew their team up this week. Done. Indiana, without this guy for a year, Halliburton. Done. We're going to start looking at futures going forward, but the Eastern Conference in the NBA just looks like garbage, except for Cleveland, maybe Orlando. And we'll be tinkering with totals and NBA championship odds, which are out, Jeff. We'll talk about that in weeks coming.
Okay. All right, let's shift gears to the PGA Tour. And this is, I know a lot of people are like, oh, they're talking golf again. Well, I love golf. Pez loves golf as well. But we got to talk about last week. Last week was the final signature event of the 2025 calendar year, the Travelers Championship. And what a dramatic finish it was. Tommy Fleetwood chokes down the stretch. Keegan Bradley comes from behind and wins. Before we talk about the Travelers, let's talk about Captain Keegan Bradley. This guy has played his way, Pez, into the 9th spot in the Ryder Cup rankings for the United States of America. 9th. Now, the top 6 are guaranteed a spot. And I know for a fact that Keegan Bradley is trying to say, if I'm going to make the team, I'm going to do it by points, so I'm not picking myself. What is your take on the Ryder Cup situation with Keegan Bradley being the captain and potentially being on the team?
At some point, the drama's got to end, right? And I've read that when he was offered this job, he was offered to be the first playing captain, I think, since Arnold Palmer, I believe.
1962. Yes.
So I think this is happening, and it's not because Keegan, they owed him one, which they did. I mean, Ricky Fowler, Sam Burns should not have been on that team 2 years ago. Probably Justin Thomas probably shouldn't have been on that team. Probably even Spieth at the time. So he got screwed. I don't know what the locker room situation is. He's not in that crew. So they corrected that wrong. There is no better captain for Bethpage Black than Keegan Bradley, and there is no better American player for the Ryder Cup right now than Keegan Bradley. I'll take him even with Scotty Scheffler in the Ryder Cup. The adrenaline, Jeff, this guy's going to fight somebody. He was ready to kick Tommy Fleetwood's ass after that. I think he was rubbing it in his face a little bit. Keegan Bradley is the epitome of Northeast Ryder Cup crowd. He's got to be out there. This isn't even a question. He's got to be. I'm going to look for odds on this. He's playing on this team. Will Tiger come out and be some acting captain that I'm hearing about? Because Tiger didn't want to do all the pregame or for whatever. Perhaps, but we need Keegan Bradley out there. Scotty Scheffler probably isn't pumping the team up as Keegan Bradley. I don't know anybody in the world is. Maybe Halliburton's dad. Let's get him on the Ryder Cup. Have him go out and fight somebody. And Keegan against England, Europe, take it down, Jeff. I don't know how we can.
You are right from a motivational standpoint that Keegan Bradley is that fiery player who's going to get everyone fired up. Everyone is making this big deal about, oh my gosh, well, who's going to be making the on-course decisions? Hello, newsflash. There are no on-course decisions. You set your lineup, and then they go and play. Once you set your lineup, yes, the captain is out there and he's hearing about who's doing well, and he can drive around in the cart and see the other matches and stuff, but it's done. There's nothing else to talk about. So if Keegan Bradley wants to be the captain and he has good vice captains, I know he has Kevin Kisner, Jim Furyk, who has experience as being a captain. Okay, they can ride around and let him know what's going on. But ultimately, if Keegan Bradley has earned his way onto this team, and it's funny, when he does his media sessions, up until his victory at the Travelers, he had not even entertained the thought of being a playing captain. But when he won that signature event, he goes, look, if I earn my way onto the team, then I earn my way onto the team. And it's like, okay, this is what the guy's only 38 years old, I believe. Yeah. He's still a young golfer, and he's still playing really good golf. Tell me why I would take someone, even the likes of Colin Morikawa or Xander Schauffele, who are not playing well right now, over a Keegan Bradley who's winning golf tournaments.
Could they be more boring guys, too? I mean, if I'm going into a fight against that European team, I'm taking Keegan Bradley. I'm not taking Schauffele. I'm not taking Morikawa.
Get Patrick Cantlay. Get Patrick Cantlay out there.
Patrick Cantlay probably cost us points. He's so boring, Jeff. His caddy, I like, Joe LaCava. But Patrick Cantlay is the definition of American boredom golf. So that guy doesn't even want to wear a hat. I mean, do we have to go through this crap again? Now they're getting paid. What do you need, $10,000? I mean, give me a break. He's probably worth $50 million. Keegan Bradley has to be on this team. I'm saying that's a red line, Jeff. Pez's picks may protest the Ryder Cup if Keegan Bradley's not playing on that team unless he comes out with something emotional. All these guys do is, like you said, they drive around with their hot wives and girlfriends. How many times do I have to see them in matching outfits, Jeff? Keegan Bradley, the camera will be on him. He'll be up in somebody's face. He almost fought that Jimenez guy, Jeff, which I really like, the guy with the big pony. He chest to chest with this dude. That's what we need. That's what New York needs. I say there's no question, Keegan. And he's played his way on there. Aside from Scotty Scheffler, probably the best player on the American roster right now, right? I mean, health-wise and form-wise, and you name it. We got him at plus 4,000 last week, Jeff. We finally hit a PGA tournament. And Keegan Bradley, local guy, I mean, he grew up about an hour from where I'm up here in Vermont. Tough wife, Jeff. His wife's a Vermonter, too. Those women are tough. I don't mess with them either. They beat people up in bar fights. So get him and his wife on that course fighting some Europeans. That's all we need, Jeff. That's it.
Yeah,
United States.
that clip with Keegan and Miguel Angel Jimenez is what was going around afterwards when he got in his face and told him, "Don't tell his caddy to shut up." That was a great clip. I was like, "Yes, let's go, let's go." All right, well, let's put the Ryder Cup to the side. I have a feeling that's going to shake itself out as we get ready for the Open Championship in a couple weeks. But I want to ask you about Tommy Fleetwood. Man, Tommy Fleetwood. I've always said that the come from behind win for Keegan was awesome. But this guy is so snake bitten, it's incredible. He has had 42 top 10 finishes in his career, which is the most top 10s without a victory in the last 40 years, Pez. It's incredible how this guy cannot win a tournament. What was your takeaway on Fairway Jesus not getting it done again?
Great player and seemingly a nice guy. I hate to say mean things to him this fall, which I will, but at the end of the day, there's a difference between being a closer and being a middle inning guy, right? I mean, to win a PGA tournament is probably as hard an athletic feat as there is in the world today. You don't get do-overs. You don't get 5 or 6 at bats. Every shot, there's millions, literally millions of dollars on the line. I believe he lost $2 million on that last hole. I think Keegan walked away with over 4, maybe 2.5 million. So
3.6.
an unbelievable number. And it's why, Jeff, we talked last week. You need the cash there. You need the cash sitting on a table or in a treasure chest to really pump up, the tension and the nerves. I honestly think Keegan went out and won that tournament. I know Fleetwood had a couple bogeys down the stretch, but to sink that putt, I mean, that's balls to the walls. I mean, this guy is a winner. Fleetwood, there are a lot of guys that take second a lot. I think it was C. Thomas Howell, the guy that went to live. I don't think he won maybe once in 30 years. We even saw Tom Watson in the British Open about 10 years ago kind of choke one away on the 18th. It is a difficult thing to keep your nerves steady. As a poker player, Jeff, I know this. As you get older, it's hard not to give out tells. It's hard to keep your blood pressure at a relaxed rate when you have pocket aces and 2 come on the flop. So at the end of the day, Keegan, this is why we need Keegan Bradley, a better competitor than he is a golfer, right? I mean, you got pressure on the line. He might not be as good a golfer as Tommy Fleetwood, but the pressure on the line, he's a winner. And that's what we got to take, Jeff. We need this guy.
All right, the last thing I want to bring up is I want to ask you, what's your takeaway on, and this is something that's been happening for the last 2 years on the PGA Tour, when they adjusted the schedule. The major schedule, the Masters is always first in April. The PGA Championship used to be last, and then they moved that to second, and then they also pushed everything together. You have one major a month from April through July, and then you have the I guess it's because they want to pump up the Tour Championship, which I think is a dud in and of itself. What's your takeaway on the current golf schedule? Because believe it or not, we only have a couple weeks until the Open Championship, and then the majors are done. They're done already. It's incredible.
From a fan perspective, I couldn't think of a stupider thing to do, Jeff. The season is over, as you said, except for this ridiculous Tour Championship, which I know the players care about. Probably some of them more than a green jacket or an Open. You get a $15 to $20 million annuity when you win the Tour Championship. I mean, that is like, like some sort of MMA type of money where you're fighting a man versus 100 or a gorilla versus 100 men. That's money that maybe those 100 men should be playing for if they fight that gorilla. But I think it's stupid. It rushes the season. It reduces the importance of some of these other tournaments, these mini majors we used to call them. Players that are hot obviously benefit from this. Where the guy that won the Masters might be crap at the end of the season, the PGA Championship. British was kind of the midpoint, July. I think we got to get back a little bit more space, kind of like they talk about the Triple Crown with horse racing. Slowing things down isn't a horrible thing. I think a little bit more time, we get a more pure contest of the time period, not of a 2-month season. I don't know what the rush is, Jeff. I don't know who's running this thing. This guy from the NFL seems to know what he's talking about. I hope he does, Jeff. We need a lifeline for golf. We need some reorganization here. I think they got rid of that stupid scoring. I don't think the number one guy comes in 10 shots ahead, right?
They got rid of that, yes.
So I don't know who cares if you're FedEx Cup leader going in. I don't know what the benefit of that is, but nobody even knew what was going on. I'd talk about this Tour Championship. People look at me like, huh? Down in Atlanta? Could we have a more boring course too? Can we move that around a little bit? Get some good sites. Maybe play Pebble every year would be great, right?
Yeah.
Something needs to change. And I hope this guy brings it in. I'm excited for golf, though. I think in the fall, it's a new beginning. I think by this time next year, PGA and LIV have a deal. Those players are back in line. the drama's over, and we start getting back to great golf tournaments.
I hope you're right. Let's talk a little bit about baseball. Recently, been up and down. We've had some success. What's your takeaway on where we stand in Major League Baseball?
So, Jeff, we talk about this a lot. We keep it real in Pez's Picks. Baseball sucks, okay? Everybody should understand this. Baseball handicapping is a different animal. It's a survival game. Of course, anybody could go on and pick the plus 400 or minus 400 favorite. I mean, this is simple. You can look in the newspaper, online, whatever you want to call it. You take the Yankees minus 400. Are they going to win? Probably. Are the Dodgers going to beat the Colorado Rockies? We're taping on Wednesday here. Minus 325, minus 355, probably. But is it worth the risk to bet a June baseball game? I don't think so. So what we try to do is find value plays that where you're getting money in return. You can reduce your usual unit of bet. We have one today, Jeff. This is Wednesday. We're 500. We're dead 500. So if we were actually playing baseball, we'd be in the Hall of Fame. So I don't want to hear any slack from any of the haters out there. But at the end of the day, we have a rule, Jeff. You know this rule. We have a couple rules in Pez's Picks. But the one, anytime you get Paul Skeens close to even, and today, Jeff, we're getting him minus 104. He's the underdog. Paul Skeens is the underdog. You take him. This is the kind of bet that we look for. I don't understand it. I know if I was calling my bookie 15 years ago and I wanted Skeens today at 2 o'clock against Milwaukee Brewers, I'd be laying 150 to make 100. I'd be like, what? Newspaper says he's an underdog. He'd hang up on me, Jeff. They'd be like, take it or leave it. We're going up against a rookie. I mean, this guy's gigantic. He's 6'7", a monster dude. But, 2 words, Jeff. Livy Dunn. I mean, Paul Skeens. I mean, this guy, could anybody be doing better in the world? I don't understand it. How is this line? He's got a whip, .88 whip against a rook who's got 2 games under his belt. This is the kind of play we look for. I would double my usual unit of play if I had this opportunity. I'm not going to put that out there. We don't like to tell people how to gamble. My wife always reminds me that. Don't lose people's, lunch money and stuff like that. So Skeens today, you got to take him even though Pittsburgh stinks. Right? Your team can't hit, Jeff. What the hell's going on with that team? They can't hit for crap.
I've been telling you that all year. I really have.
What's going on
I will say this. Only at Pez's Picks will you get the type of analysis that they will draw inspiration from a player's girlfriend
Absolutely.
to somehow influence the overall play.
It's a famous quote, Jeff, from Moneyball. What's his girlfriend look like? The guy with the ugly girlfriend, he ain't hitting or pitching well, right? He's upset about that, okay? This dude, Paul Skeens, I mean, he's got the creepy mustache. He doesn't even care, Jeff. I tried copying that, too. The wife tells me it's a little sex offenderish, so I got to get away from it. But Paul Skeens, best pitcher in baseball, him, Scooball. I'll take Skeens over anybody in the league right now. I don't know how he's not a huge favorite today. I think it's just indicative of the times. There are more people losing money on Skeens, wrapped in the Skeens total strikeouts, this rook strikeouts, and good luck with that. You have 5 times more likely to lose a parlay than an even bet. We're going to stand by that. We'll take Skeens at minus 104 even money all day, every day.
Love it. All right, last bit of news here. Let's talk about NFL. You've been putting out future plays. I was shocked. You took the over 5.5 for the Cleveland Browns. Oh, my gosh. You think the Browns are going to have a resurgence. And for them, that is a little bit of a resurgence. What's your takeaway on some future plays in the NFL?
Well, we remind everyone, Jeff, the NFL, not a purely competitive league. It's an entertainment league.
Yes.
Cleveland is going to have a good year. I would not be shocked if Cleveland's 500 or close to and maybe sneaks in the playoffs.
What?
I could just see it, Jeff. All of this drama, all these quarterbacks. At the end of the day, it's a defensive game, not turning the ball over. I don't think either rookie's going to start the season. I like the Browns' chances to get 6 or more wins. I don't know how we couldn't. Myles Garrett, locked in. Guy's a monster. We did put out a couple other plays this morning. They're about to be released, Jeff, by the time that people hear this tomorrow, that'll be out there. We're taking the under in the Dolphins. And at the end of the day, Jeff, you're going to be shocked at this. We're taking the over in the Jets. I think the Jets upgrade a quarterback in their system, defensive cores back. They weren't a horrible team last year. And we're getting some positive money for them right now.
What are the lines? What are the lines for both those teams? The Dolphins, you said under. What's their win total?
Dolphins total currently today is 8.5 plus 155, Jeff.
So you're taking the under there.
We're taking the under there. I just can't see them. I think the Patriots are going to be a better team. I think the Dolphins are really going to struggle. Everybody knows about Tua's situation, the receiver situation. It's getting worse. So I don't think that team's any better. With the Jets, though, I think the team has made improvements. 5.5 wins. I think they get to 6 wins, Jeff. I think without Aaron Rodgers there, we have a whole new situation. It's going to be a calmer, more traditional football team. None of this hype about, this guy and his crazy lifestyle. So I like the Jets in this situation. Teams like the Jets, they got to have a good year at some point, right? And they have a decent nucleus, and defense wins, and their defense is pretty solid. So I love the Jets at 5. I like over 5.5. Love them.
All right. Good stuff, Pez. Last question. This has been going around social media, and this is just a debate. And you're a guy that likes to take off work. If you have to take off work Friday or Monday, which one are you taking off?
Friday, Jeff. Friday.
Really?
Friday. There's nothing fun to do on Monday. Thursday night. Thursdays, Jeff. That's the rocket night. That's the college kids. When I head down and I remake old school with my buddies, we head down to university. We start our old man fraternity. We're doing it Thursday night, Jeff. Ooh, Sunday night's boring. Everybody's home.
Well, not during football season. Mondays are where it's at on a football and during football season. Sunday night football, you get to stay up late and then rest.
Sunday night home against the Dallas Cockroaches in Philly. Then Monday's the call out there. But if not, it's Friday. Jeff. You take off Friday. Friday's fun. Okay, Friday's fun. You got to have fun in life.
Good stuff, Pez. Why don't you do some final thoughts here to wrap up the show?
Jeff, the line of the day is, can I beat my 12-year-old in paddleboarding? This stand-up paddleboarding, tough competition. The kid's, a little bit shorter than me. I think his weight differential is a little easier, but smoked me yesterday. Pez's Picks got to hit the gym a little bit. We're going to get on that, too. We're going to buff up for the winter, Jeff. That's what my kid told me. I need to buff up a little bit.
Come on, man. You got to hit the weights. For sure.
You need the resistance, right? You need it. Like we get on Instagram. You live by the resistance in the gambling world. Bring it on. Bring it on, Jeff. We're happy for it.
Make sure you follow Pez's Picks on social media. That's Twitter and Instagram at Pez's Picks. For Pez, I'm Jeff Hartman. Pez, thanks for your time, man. Enjoy the lake, and we'll talk next week.
All right, later.